Hey, it's Lisa from Lisa's Sanctuary, and you have found yourself at my free webinar for trauma, which is all about trauma, what it is, where it comes from, how it can affect you, how it affects your life. In a condensed video, obviously trauma is a subject that has so much research and information on it now, which is great for us. It's great for people who have experienced trauma and who want to heal from it. It's brilliant for people like me who want to help people heal from their trauma because of all the research and information that's out there that tells us that our brains can heal themselves. Our brains can form new connections and new neural pathways in order to change your thoughts, your beliefs, and your experiences. So what is trauma? Trauma is something that unfortunately probably every one of us has experienced at some point in our lives. There's abuse and neglect in childhood. There's other events as you grow older, bullying. There's anything that makes you feel overwhelmed, that affects your ability to cope, can cause trauma. So trauma is the emotional response to a deeply distressing event that you may have been involved in, or that you may have witnessed, or that has just affected you in any way. And I'd really like to point out that pain is pain, that I can experience an event which I may go, oh wow, that was pretty hectic, but I'm okay. And a friend of mine can experience the same event and have a much more traumatic response, a bigger traumatic response to that event. So it does come down to individuals, but pain is pain. There is no, I shouldn't be feeling like this because that person experienced worse than me. So trauma affects your memory, your concentration. It can affect your focus. It affects anxiety, depression, the thoughts that you think about yourself, the beliefs that you believe about yourself, learning to, having to trust other people, really feeling overwhelmed and unable to cope. That's what trauma does. Trauma affects you physically and mentally. I believe that, and research does show that autoimmune diseases and other medical conditions, physical health, heart disease, kidney failure, there are lots of things that trauma plays a really big part in. Trauma affects us physically. It affects our physical health. So if you've experienced trauma as a child, growing up, in adolescence, even as an adult, and you have now been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, or you've got lots of physical health complaints that you're just not sure, they've probably come from trauma. It's probably an extension of the trauma. So trauma is, to go back a little bit, your brain is wired to keep you alive. Your brain is hardwired to keep you safe. And so what is familiar to the brain, that the brain knows keeps you safe, is the pattern that you engage in every day through life. It's the way your brain keeps you safe by just repeating those same events, the same routines, the same structure throughout your day. Anything that's a bit different from your routine and that normal structure sets off an alarm bell in the brain, in the amygdala. This is actually where anxiety can come from. So trauma is something out of it's out of your routine. It's an event that you have experienced that has been a real threat to your safety or to your life. It doesn't have to be a threat to life, but it generally is. So assaults, domestic violence, bullying, experiencing terrorism, being in an armed robbery, being involved in, a home invasion, all of those things are events, deeply distressing events that overwhelm your ability to cope. Can you heal from trauma? Absolutely you can. It takes time, it's a journey, it's a process, but healing trauma is when you can successfully live in the present without the thoughts of your past overwhelming you in this moment, and also the thoughts of the future not overwhelming your present. So we get a lot of flashbacks, particularly with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is CPTSD, is more from when you've experienced something over and over and over. It's been embedded into your life, which is domestic violence, childhood abuse and neglect, all of those really traumatic events, the experiences that are not just a one-off, so like a car accident or something like that, not to take away from the pain of it, but you are more likely to develop or be diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder if you have experienced a longer event, something over time. So healing from trauma takes work on your part. It is hard. It's hard to unpack trauma. It is mentally draining to unpack trauma, but it is worth it, because what you will find is as you go through your life, events happen, experiences happen, and your reactions to everything that happens in your day can be a trauma response, which is not really conducive to your way of life. It doesn't really help support you. It can be really distressing to not only experience the traumatic event, but to re-experience it daily, through triggers, through hearing a song, through smelling a smell, through seeing something, through hearing someone's name. There are lots of things that can trigger it off. So part of healing from trauma is identifying what you have been through, what you have experienced, how it's manifesting in your life at the moment. So through how is your brain protecting you? How is your brain taking you out of life by trying to protect you? So anxiety is not wanting to leave your comfort zone, not wanting to leave the house because it's safer here. It is about those same choices and patterns that you do on a daily basis, because that's your reaction, that's your response to life based on trauma that you've experienced before. It's your brain keeping you safe. So how we heal that is by rewiring the thoughts. The meaning that you give to trauma, the meaning that you give to your life, the limiting beliefs, the things that you've experienced. It is a whole process. It's delving right into it. But one thing I can give you really quickly is to stand in front of the mirror, and this is going to be extremely difficult to begin with. Stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you are enough, or that you are worthy, or that you deserve an amazing life. And your brain will fight you to start with. It will say, no, you're not. That's absolutely not possible, or any other number of negative responses to that, because when you step out of what's familiar, your brain gets worried that it can't keep you safe because it doesn't know that scenario. But my 4 favorite sayings in the whole world are: I am enough, I am worthy, I am significant, I matter. Love those. I actually have them written on my bathroom mirror. I've got them written around the house. I say them constantly. Love them. And I really want you to say that and feel it and embody it. So that's just a really quick starter. Limiting beliefs will have you in the same patterns over and over and over, and not being able to level up or jump to that next level. So healing from trauma is about identifying triggers, identifying events, your reactions, your responses, how we can kind of fine tune that in order to support you better, or to support your life, support you in achieving, the next step, the next things that you want, achieving goals, setting goals. So that's how we begin to heal trauma, is by identifying triggers, by trying to rewrite them. And I absolutely love hypnotherapy for trauma, because when you go right into the subconscious, you go right back into memories that you didn't even know existed, which sounds really scary, but we can literally find the point where your response comes from. So if you have anxiety, if you have depression, it's go back to the moment. You can go back to the moment in your life that depression or anxiety, something, whatever event happened, and we can rewrite that meaning. So I love hypnotherapy for healing. I'm creating a brief hypnosis for you, which is centered on I am enough. It's to reinstall a new belief into your subconscious. So hopefully, I hope you love it, because I do. I still do, hypnosis on myself, hypnosis on myself. I love it. It's fantastic. So that's just a brief video about trauma. The next one, listen to of a nighttime, during the day, whenever you want, about going to sleep. You can go to sleep straight afterwards. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep. You can listen to it first. I'll show you how to go into a hypnotic state, which just accesses straight to your subconscious. It's brilliant. and you can just relax and listen to it and form a new belief. And I'll see you in the next video.